I mean, I was at the point that like it got to the point that like it's just like too much stress, like the running the business, like control the staff and all that, so it's almost like giving up, and I just want to focus on the dentistry. So I talked to a lot of the DSOs, and like, what do you guys do? Why should I sell it to you, or things like that,
Right.
But I didn't, because you just lose that freedom of what you want to do. Okay. There's a lot of the control environment with the DSOs, but I think it's more of the personality thing. Okay. There's some doctors that, based on what I've seen from the associates, some doctors, they just don't know how to manage. Okay. They're good at dentistry, but they don't have like interpersonal, the people skill or work under stress, things like that. Okay. People go into DSO, and I've seen that like a lot of the offices that I've seen now is they're about to retire, but then they don't want to sell it. I mean, they can't sell it, years now, right?
2009 is when we built your office, your first office.
So how are things?
I have questions for you. I mean, since that day, there's so much that happened, and I feel like I have so many stories in my head.
Yeah.
And I was telling my wife this morning, I said, this is like...
Wife? You didn't have wife before.
Yeah, wife, the kid. I have a 3-month-old. But it's like, I feel like I have so many stories in my head, and I don't know, I no longer know if they're true or not. So like, I really want to dive in, and we only have an hour, but I'll try to use as much as possible.
Yeah. Hold on a second here.
Yeah.
I'm calling Nancy. Say hi.
Yeah.
So what's the... Wow, 14 years. 14
years ago, exactly.
14 years ago. Wow.
And you were almost out of dental school, right? 2009?
No, I was out 2007, and then I was out 2 years just working as an associate,
Okay.
And then like when the whole the bubble thing, that started, and then I was brave enough to do my own practice.
Right. At that point, there were not many people building, right?
Yeah, no. And then you were like the first company that approached, and that's how we all started, right?
Yeah. And I if I remember correctly, you had Jason ACOA and Jim Andrews, the two more proposals that you had.
Yeah.
So and sometimes I wonder why did you pick me?
I don't know. Like I wanted to go with the younger guy, So I think you're more energetic. Jim's been in business for long time,
Yeah.
And then ACOA, like I didn't hear a lot of good reputation, So and then at that time it was a Millwood. So Millwood is like now huge now. It's called the Apex Construction now.
Yes.
So they pretty much took over the whole dental industry, and then so I moved from my old location, from my old one, to a new location about 3 years ago, because my lease was up. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my lease was up, and then the landlord, like I couldn't expand, I couldn't do anything, So I moved to a existing location here, and then Jim Andrews, he did all my updates because the Siegel's gone.
Right. Unfortunately. It's sad. It's sad. But then this is the first story that I tell myself, and I tell people, I don't know if it's true or not. When you and I were sitting down and you asked me a question, you said, Tiger, why would I work with you? And I think I told you something along the lines that I've never built a dental office.
Yeah, you did the optometry office.
Yeah, and I said, this would be my first dental office, and that's why you should work with me, because I'll sleep here if I need to.
Yeah. So it'll be your first one. So I'm pretty sure, I assume at the time that like, you're gonna, that's your reputation that you're gonna start with. So you want to build an office that's like really like shines.
Right.
So we did good. Yeah,
and it did. It was amazing. But it's like I want to give you a lot of credit for that, because a lot of people would be the opposite. They would be scared to work with a guy who is young and never built a dental office, and you didn't. You're like, no, let's go.
Yeah. So, but
I really
like I saw that confidence in you, so I didn't doubt you. You know, everything on time, everything was good. You know, so
yeah, and I think we got lucky too, because you had such an incredible team of people. You know, from equipment, that was Ken
Moore,
Ken Moore,
Holt Dental, yes.
Holt Dental, that doesn't exist anymore. The Holt Dental,
a lot of them are gone.
Yeah, Millwood was doing the cabinetry.
Yeah,
right. So, like, I mean, if I would be by myself without these people, it would be hard.
Yes,
but like I learned so much from Millwood. Like they came in and they laid out the space, and Ken came in and he was there every day to help us. It was incredible.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. But now I don't even know how they do nowadays, you know. But Jim's been great with the you know, the whole process when I moved here. So
Jim is a good guy.
Yeah, he's a really nice
guy. I didn't mind him at all.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So 3 years ago, you were in that location for almost 10 years.
9.5 years, almost 9.5 years. And then I was almost done with the lease. And then we were negotiating with a couple spots next door. And then they said that they'll move out, they'll relocate, because like we had a hearing aid place right next to it. That's about like 1,000 square foot, you know, so I could put like 2 more chairs and things like that. And then we negotiated for almost like 4 months, 5 months, and then they backed out at the end.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then the landlord's there, and then they offered me like much bigger space. It's like almost like 4,000 square foot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I had to rebuild it again, you know, so I had to forget the corner.
Yeah.
So we had to rebuild it in the same shopping mall. And then the budget came out like 1.2 million to build it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm like, nah, I'm not doing this.
Wow.
Yeah. So because it's like 4,000 square foot, all the plumbings, all the chair, everything, you know. So that was like, nah, it's not worth it, you know. So that's why I don't know if remember Barb, the realtor.
Yes.
Yeah. So I told her, like, find the office, the existing office that's about 25 to 3,000 square foot, you know.
Yeah.
But luckily, we found one here because this was a formal Clear Choice location.
Okay.
Yes. And then they moved out to a bigger location, so like it was a perfect size for me. So I'm like, okay, let me move in there.
That's amazing.
But the lease was like a little bit earlier, so I had to early termination, and then we moved here.
Yeah. Were you concerned about that somebody else will take your old place?
Oh, of course people are going to take the space. It's already somebody else's dentistry. It's already there.
Yeah.
So but I didn't really care because, you know, I worked there for 10 years, you know, doing the general dentistry. But I told myself once I come to this location, you know, I'm going to completely do different marketing. You know, yeah. So, and then different procedures, you know, like, like I do like very, I'm a prosthodontist.
Right. Exactly. By trade, you're
complex. Yeah. Complex cases. So that's why I do that. So I didn't really care who comes in or not, because I know that as soon as I come here, I'm going to do different marketing, you know, different method of just getting patients in. Yes.
That is fascinating. So it's almost like you work for 10 years as a general dentist. You're like
just to build it, you know,
right?
to do whatever I need to do, you know. But I was building the reputation I would say 7th, 8th year, you know.
Yeah.
So it was kind of going great. And then once
taking on bigger cases, right? Like I'm sure you had a lot of bigger cases.
So right now I would say 80-90% is patient referral from other dentists.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm not doing a whole lot of general dentistry. So
no cleanings.
I mean, like, you know, once in a while, like just schedule, you know, like I have to accommodate the patient, I do it. But yeah, most of the times you know, like surgeries and larger cases, and, you know, so.
That's amazing.
I mean, that was my original goal to begin with, you know, but I knew that you can't do that from the beginning, you know, so.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have a lot of patience. It seems like you're very, very patient. Was there anything when you're a child that helped you get that patience? Like, is there anything that your parents did that you can kind of point back and say maybe that was helpful?
It's a different cultural background because my parents are in Korea, so mostly they deal with the Korean patients, but I hardly see any Korean patients. Like here, like in U.S., there's a very multicultural, you know, so their feedback, it's more like my mom helped me a lot uh, with the how to deal with the staff, for example, like things like that. But with the patients, I had to do it all myself. But I went to a lot of like seminars, with the consulting companies.
Yeah.
Did a lot of the studies with them. I hired them. They analyze it. So they kind of developed that my own skill level as I go. So
yeah, that's amazing. Because like I'm trying to make sure that when even though my daughter's like 3 months, I'm trying to make sure that she is like I don't miss that patience part, right? So like I feel like I'm an immigrant too, so it's easier for me to be more patient because that's what we come from, right? So like I don't see that in a lot of people. Like a lot of people want it today, and no matter what, like it needs to happen. But like I said, even when we built the office, you were very patient with me as well. Like you were very patient with the process. When we
I didn't
opened,
know.
yeah, it's another
I
part.
didn't really know. I just
Yeah.
I just followed the flow with I mean, I learned like at that time, like I didn't really know a lot of things. I was depending on people like you or Ken, the Pete from Millwood, like all those guys, So because they've done it before, but but the amazing thing was, but now it's all in one shop, But before it was like it's like you have to get this guy, you have to get this guy, and it just all mixed, like together everybody.
Yeah.
But I think you did a good job, gather everybody in to, get the office going. So
yeah, and I think that was the model after your office. That was the model that we've learned that if we, because I mean, since your office was the first dental office, and another thing that was interesting, you probably don't know this. When you signed the contract, I think it was like 160,000, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, somewhere around there, yes.
Yeah. And so then you asked me a question about deposit. And I was like, and I looked at you with big eyes. I'm like, what's the deposit? Because all my previous jobs, they were never deposits. And so, and then you're like, all right, send me an invoice for deposit. I'm like, okay, I go home and I'm sitting and I'm thinking, all right, I'll send you like $15,000 deposit.
Yeah.
And I was freaking out. Like, you will call me back.
Because I think the bank told me that, like, before you do the construction, you have to put the down payment, like any big case you do, it was just like, that is a, like when I do these big cases, I always tell the patient that you need to put 30% down, just get the case going. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And imagine this. I'm sitting and I send an invoice to you. You forward that invoice to Greg Pinkerton at Bank of America. So
yes.
Then the next day I get the money.
Oh, they were good. Yeah.
Those wired to my, but Dr. Han, like, just think about it. We're in 2009. Economy is down the toilet. And we're in construction and we get paid the next day. I freaked out. I called Greg. I was like, Greg, may I talk to you? He's like, of course. Said, there's something happened. I think by accident, I received the wire from Bank of America for Dr. Joon Han. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, there must be an issue. He's like, what's the issue? I said, well, how is it possible that the next day I get the payment? He's like, Tiger, you're probably new to dentistry. I'm like, I'm very new. This is my first project. He's like, if we approve the dentist for the loan for $500,000, what was the average back then? He's like, literally, they can write us on a napkin to pay this guy and we'll wire the money. We don't care. The next day. And I was like, holy wow. So I called my subs that same day and I was like, guys, all we're going to do is dentistry. That's it. That's all. Like, there's just no point in doing anything else. And so we focus just on dental offices. And that's how I built the business, because every project we would send an invoice, we get paid the next day. And all my subs love it. That's how we didn't have any change orders from subcontractors, because I was the only guy that they work for that would pay the next day.
Yeah.
was incredible. So yeah, it was amazing. That's how we built this. Yeah. And the model that we learned from you was we need to get everything together. So like design, construction, all of it, like it needs to be together. So then all the other projects later, we had a designer working with us to make sure that if you have a vision, we first talk, sketch it out, build a 3D model, and then we actually end up building it. And so that was very, very helpful.
Yeah. I know when we did remember we did the second office? It was like a couple years after.
For your wife?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, my ex now.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But so that was I think that's the time that you were trying to do everything, try to use. Then I was a little bit stubborn, I remember well, I'll stick with the Millwood. I still like my old way.
Yes.
Your
old people. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
and
amazing.
Then you did my friend's office, Sam. Dr. Shin.
Oh my God.
Star, yes.
He was awesome.
Yes. So that one, you told me that you did the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Project, yes.
Yeah.
So
I need to circle back with him. I do miss him too. He is such a great person to work with. And I think he traveled from downtown. They drove pretty much every day to the job site.
They still do that, but I know they still live in downtown. I think I'm pretty sure.
Could be.
So he's there. He's still there. Yes. Yes.
And he didn't want to build corporate style or anything. He just still by himself, right? He probably has an associate, but it's a very small, tight office that he built.
Yeah. But now he expanded it, so now they have the ortho. He moved. He expanded to the next door, so now the whole ortho bay, I think 4 or 5 chairs of ortho bays there. So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Well, everybody evolves, when things gets busy and you do good things, for the patients, then you evolve,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did you know that I ended up selling Siegel?
Yes. And then I don't know who you sell it to, but I think that was a good move, to be honest, and then you sold that in the height of the when the Siegel was epitome of when everybody was doing it, but I don't think they exist anymore, right?
No, unfortunately. It's so sad. I built it up. So I think what happened is 2014, I have this aspirations to build Siegel into this nationwide dental design build company. And then I found a company in Texas that did that. And so I reached out to the guy and I flew out to meet him in Dallas. And we talked for about a day, and his advice was, don't do it. He's like, it's just too difficult and you're going to get sued all the time if you build a construction company nationwide. So he's like, you can hire people, but your margins are small and you get sued all the time. He's like, so why would you do it? And on my flight back, it's it's one of those things. And as an immigrant, for me, is whenever I see the ceiling, I don't want to do it. That's why I love America, is there's no ceiling, right? So where I came from, there's always a ceiling. Even if you don't see it, there's there. So to me, it was kind of like that ceiling. And I on my flight back, I put a plan together on what do I need to do to sell the business. And so, and I said, there are 2 projects that I really want to do before I sell. And it's exactly what happened. So there were 2 projects, one pediatric office in Barrington, I think, and then one high-end cosmetic office in downtown. Both doctors came to us. I knew them from before we started working, but both doctors came and said, we don't have a budget. We know what you built. We trust that you will do the right job. So you already hired. So go do things the way you do it. And they had so much trust into what we were doing. It was incredible. And these were my 2 last projects that we built. Same thing, on time, on budget. We finished on time. But I'm just very proud of it. These 2 flagship products. But then I sold. I transitioned for about a year into 2015. And unfortunately, it was great. I didn't sell it for a lot of money, but it allowed me to start the second business, which I really wanted to do. I started playing with that idea late 2015.
And then you did that with what's that thing? The Zen Supply?
Yeah.
How did that go? Is it still, you're still doing it, or
it's kicking, right? It's incredible too. So the idea started, my friend Scott Goldman, he's a pediatric dentist. So he had 12 offices at that time, and we would meet and talk, and he would always complain about supplies, always. And so then I sold the business, and I had literally nothing to do. And I said, look, can I go to your office and just spend the time at your office? Sure. So I go to his office, and I literally just like spent time walking around for about a week. And then I noticed that one guy was using sticky notes, yellow sticky notes, and writing notes on it all the time. And so he's the dental assistant that was in charge of ordering. And then I asked him, I said, Justina, what are you doing? I'm placing orders. Okay. So I said, what if I find you software that does it for you? He's like, okay. So I did. I brought it to him. He didn't like any of it. And we asked the team around. They're like, it's all garbage. So then we did the prototype, the clickable buttons prototype. I came back and they liked it. And so then I went back to Scott and I said, Scott, this is interesting. Like, I'll put my own money. I'll build it, but I just need to know that you're going to sign up and use it if I build this. He's like, sure, I actually will need this because it does solve the problem for us. And so I put my money, hired the team in late 2015. And by April 2016, it was ready to go. And I went to his office and they signed up. And that's how we took off.
Well, you always do innovative things.
I'm trying to. I'm trying to solve problems. Like, that's all I'm trying to do is not much good. Like, yeah. But it's interesting. And then since then, it's just been, dealing with now all these suppliers like Henry Schein and Patterson and Banquets, all these people that I knew from the construction world. All of a sudden, I'm doing this stuff. So it's fascinating.
Yeah. So where are you located now?
Austin, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
I moved 2021.
Right before COVID.
Right after.
Right after.
Yeah, right after COVID. And then I got married 2022. It's almost a year. Okay. So in a couple of weeks, it would be a year since I got married. And it's amazing.
Oh. Now, Austin's it's a Texas, but very liberal, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That's good.
It's a fascinating mix, but it's the city where everybody gets along. So like,
that's good.
Yeah. But it's also easy to fly. I do have a lot of travel.
Okay.
With this business, so I try to go to all the offices that use Zen. But I think the most important part is there's a lot of talent here. So like finding people to hire, it's not an issue. Like everybody is pretty eager to work, and so it's a good place.
Awesome. How many people you have now?
21.
21. Wow, that's a lot of people.
That's
good.
It is a lot. Yeah, for this kind of business. And again, I think what's fascinating, again, I don't know how to say this enough, but I'm very, very grateful to you, because I think if it wasn't your office, I don't know if I would be in the dentistry, but dentistry has been my industry since your office. It's all I did. That's all I know.
I know. Yeah.
Right. So like, it's like, imagine how you affected the course of my life by no, I mean it. Like, I really mean it. It's like, now it's dentistry. And when like investors and people I talk to, when they ask me like, why dentistry? And I'm like, this one guy, one guy, that's all.
Well, I'm glad that I did that for you. Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, even that old office, like every time I pass by with the new doctors there, it just, it's solid. Everything is solid, nothing, no issues, nothing for 14 years, 15 years there, So,
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Just like, as we're just having this conversation, how do you look at, like, with your practice, you're building your own practice. How do you just overall, like, next 5 years or 10 years, like, how do you plan? How do you look at the future?
Well, I'm like when I started my office, 2009, my 10-year plan was, an office that I can really work as a prosthodontist, where I get referrals, I don't have to do like 20, 30 patients a day, I don't work like a general dentist. So that phase, I already achieved it. Okay.
And that was your 10-year plan.
Yeah, that was my 10-year plan. So my next project that I'm doing is I'm trying to be a mentor for a lot of the younger dentists. Okay. Right now, the education level with at the university level, at the dental school level is very lack on a lot of things. Okay.
Interesting.
Like, for example, like business side of it, or how to do any specific cases, or placing implants and things like that. They lack of it, right? So lately I've been doing a lot of lectures with the implant company that I worked with for many years. Okay. So I try to get like a lot of the younger doctors motivate to do not just like simple stuff. There's a lot more to offer than just So I'm opening a second office about 10 miles from here. So hiring the newer doctors, not like established doctors, but the newer doctors. So it's like, 'cause I know what I went through. So like when I came out, like there's like nothing, like
Nothing.
everybody, there was like nothing that like like you thought you could get mentor from somebody, but it's almost impossible,
Or consultants that hire.
Yeah, all the consultants who doesn't know anything, right?
Right. That happened too.
Oh, like I don't want to talk about that.
Right. Yeah.
So like I've been through that process. So I'm trying to help these younger doctors, hire younger doctors, just kind of show them like, hey, you know what? I know like you got a lot of loans to pay for, but then at the same time, like you have to make a choice in your life, like you want to work for DSO and then just like burnt out in a couple of years and you hate doing dentistry. Hey, maybe at the beginning it might be slow, but you built that relationship with the patient. You built that reputation as you go,
Right.
But they don't have any money and resources to do it, So that's where I come in, So I built the office for them, and then just hire them and then just kind of like, work there,
Yeah.
But I'll guide you, I can coach you a lot of different things, like how to talk to the patient, business part of it, I don't know, all the procedural part of it, So that's my kind of my next 5-year project. So hopefully I have like maybe by the time I'm 60, I have about 4 or 5 offices. So then I have a network of doctors that I, work with,
Right.
they can depend on. And then after that, like by the time I, what is that? Retire, then, they take the ownership of each office.
Right. Yeah.
Well, so I try to kind of create that opportunity,
That
So
the opportunity that you wish you had when you were younger.
yes. But I didn't have that. I always worked for like, all this like big public gate office, see 30, 40 new patients a day, or, you go there and then, like everything is just like mumble and jumble, like in a different office, like I didn't want to, it was just a bad experience, like,
Right.
so, I mean, it still exists, don't get me wrong, but like I said, I'm trying to create that opportunity for younger dentists, so I'm going to show them like, this is a really good career to go with,
Right. Do you think, just to from the other side, do you think working at the DSO, besides the negative of like burning out and stuff, do you think that was helpful to go through, 40 patients a day, like at the, Medicaid office, to get that skill, to get the hand,
Yes and no. Yes and no, because it's like you have to understand that, quality of care is really not there when you see that many patients.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, maybe you're doing fast and then, like you can do things faster, but the quality of care that you provide to the patient, maybe lack. Okay. Well, maybe like it's everybody's different. So I'm not going to like really bashing on DSOs,
Right.
but most of the people that I've talked to is like the quality of care. They're so stressed. Constant issue with staff, constant issue with the management, um, it's a good way to start, okay, but at the same time if you doing that first, year or two, okay, then it becomes a habit, okay.
Yeah.
So when these doctors come out in a private practice and try to do the thing, that's all they know. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's all they know.
Then you have to
They
learn the bad skills.
Yeah, so they learn the bad skills, or maybe they're good, but you built that habit, and then you try to come out and do different things, but then you always go back to the habit, right?
Yeah.
It's a really hard to break that habit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the kind of things that I saw. I mean, I had a couple of associates that worked for me that came from the DSO. It just a lot of the things that I notice is like the conversing with the patient, communications, and things like that. Yeah, they can do things faster, but is it a top quality work? I can't judge that.
Right.
A lot of times, like I don't really judge on the quality of the work that they do, but the way that they talk to the patient, the way that they communicate, all that, it really lacks because they don't have time to, listen to the patient and then communicate that.
Right.
And then, like give the solution to the patient. They don't have that because you come in and then boom, 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 and then you're done, and then you move to the next. So they didn't really develop that skill. And then, so sometimes I try to kind of break that habit and then try to go back, hey, and then I try to coach you. Yeah, they do it for a couple days or a couple weeks, but then they go back to the same habit again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was the sad part for me. Okay. Now they're so used to that, like, I mean, I'm sure there's some exceptions, but most of the people that I dealt with the associates, that was the issue. So that's why, like, I really want to hire somebody, like with the new office, like very untamed associates.
Right.
It's just like a white canvas, so I can kind of like, I'm not saying my ways is right, but I want to show them that, there's a much better way to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's fascinating.
So
I listened to the dental podcast. I think it's called Bulletproof. There are two doctors, Dr. Peter and Dr. Craig. They talk about something interesting in dentistry. Like they're very pro private practice. And over the years, I've built this philosophy that my products and what I'm involved in is I want to help the industry to push back this DSO movement far away as much as possible, because I think that there's so much beauty. And what I stand for personally as an immigrant, this American dream thing is about private office ownership, right? Being able to own an office.
Yeah.
So it just aligns with my personal values. And I hear these guys on a podcast talk a lot about what values, why private offices would even go for DSOs. And they mentioned things like, dealing with staff or dealing with supplies and dealing with the business side of things, because as a dentist, you just want to do dentistry and go home. Like, what do you see? Like, what's your take on why people even go that route, and what
why do people go into the private practice route?
DSO route. Like, why people sell to
route?
the DSO? Yeah. Or even work for DSO or sell to DSO.
Well, I mean, I was at the point that, like, it got to the point that, like, it's just like too much stress, like the running the business, like control the staff and all that, so it's almost like giving up, and I just want to focus on the dentistry. So I talked to a lot of the DSOs, and like, what do you guys do? Why should I sell it to you, or things like that,
Right.
But I didn't, because you just lose that freedom of what you want to do. Okay. There's a lot of the control environment with the DSOs, but I think it's more of the personality thing. Okay. There's some doctors that, based on what I've seen from the associates, some doctors, they just don't know how to manage. Okay. They're good at dentistry, but they don't have like interpersonal, the people skill or work under stress and things like that. Okay. People go into DSO, and I've seen that, like, a lot of the offices that I've seen now is they're about to retire, but then they don't want to sell it. I mean, they can't sell it,
Or the value's not there to sell for enough.
or value's not there, or they have to update so much, or
Yeah.
so they don't like want to invest anything, for example. So the younger doctors, they don't want to buy it. Okay. Because before I do my second office, I looked at all the other offices in the market, and then I go there, and I mean, it's so outdated. Chairs are 20 years old. Compressors are like, it's about to break down, So when you walk into that kind of office, like the younger kids they're used to, even all the dental schools are so nice and brand and shiny,
Right.
Then they go into the old office and they don't want to buy it. Okay?
Right.
Because like you have to put so much money into it, So all these older doctors, who can't sell, like, or I heard that there's so many are closing, or if they have enough chairs, then they sell it to DSOs. Okay, but as a younger doctor, to who, then I also seen some doctors who are very successful and then go into the DSO. Okay, I think it's more of the big capital that you can get from them, and then they already passed the phase of dentistry that were like, I've done enough, so I can just enjoy my life just doing dentistry, doing, make the quotas, I don't mind working for somebody else, I've seen so many different kinds. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but, like when you look at the medical world,
oh my God,
it's like 99%, taken over.
Right.
By big groups. Okay. So I can see that it's coming to dentistry. Okay. I definitely see that in the dentistry when it comes to like when they're doing like a general dentistry and all that, but even like my specialty prosthodontics, like look at Clear Choice, for example. I mean, they're spending crazy, so it's so how can I compete financially, marketing and all that against the DSO? I can't. I don't have that capital. So
yeah, but how can you compete though?
How can you compete?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have my own theory.
Okay.
But as a young doctor who wants to own a practice and all that running, and then you're just like, you want to do certain things in a certain way, but you can't get certain things, so then you have to compete with these big corporations.
Yeah,
you don't have the resource for it, you don't have the budgets for it, so I think that's probably the reason that most people just give into it,
right,
because in order to survive you have to sell the practice. But I'm in a little bit different position, because there aren't that many prosthodontists who owns a private practice.
Okay.
So even so only way that they can get the prosthodontic services is through people like me, or they have to go to the university. Okay. So I'm in a really little bit better position than other general dentists like DS, like doing general things. Okay.
Right.
Because like I market myself as a prosthodontist, and then I market myself, like do things that you don't want to do. Okay. So amazingly, sometimes I get referrals from Aspen Dental.
Wow.
Okay. So that's how I got my names out. So it just like I was very, I did really smart marketing by, instead of marketing myself as I'm a dentist, I only market towards the other dental offices.
Right.
Okay? I don't market to general public. I market myself to so that's why I'm in a little bit different position.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm more like we call it like a niche marketing. Okay?
Right.
So if you're in that, then that works.
Right.
Okay. I know there are some doctors in LA or New York, they do the niche marketing. All they do is just veneers.
Right.
Okay? DSO, doing veneers in a DSO office is not probably like profitable.
Right.
Okay?
Right. So it's a good point I think you are making, is that even if you're opening up a general practice, doing what DSOs don't want to do,
yes,
it might be a good strategy.
Yes.
Or picking specific thing, like it could be one thing that you can excel on. And I mean, it could be anything. I've seen an office in San Antonio with alcohol in the waiting room, right? So that's the thing. You know,
I heard that in Texas. Yes.
Right. Get the whiskey, get the bourbon. You know, that's your thing. You will never see it at Aspen, right? So like, or Heartland, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So like whatever the thing is, but I do agree with you. There's a way to compete.
Yes.
Right. So like,
if you do the same thing as what DSO does, you can't win. Okay.
Right.
So you have to find a way that how am I going to differentiate myself? You know, or what is my target audience that I am going after?
Exactly.
Okay. You can't, you know, my target audience is like doing general dentistry, prophy, and things like that. You know, then you can't win against all these like, big offices, right? Because they have the support staff, you know, insurance coordinator, treatment coordinator, like they have all that powers. You don't have that. So that's why I could really study like a niche marketing. Okay.
Right.
Because there's always a group of people looking for that specific thing, you know, or a specific person who does that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that I think if you do that, then I think you as a private practitioner can definitely, you know, it can be successful, you know. So
that's amazing. Let's end here because I know you're gonna have to go back to patients and maybe catch a little lunch. I really appreciate it, Dr. Han. I really wanted to catch up, and I look forward to.
Yeah, I'll ever, you know, if I ever go to Austin, I'll look for you because I have like a prosto meeting like this October or next year. So what, like I'll check it out, but definitely yes.
Yeah, if you can come a day early, I'll take you to local spots. Like I pretty much know Austin really well now.
Okay,
like,
good.
Definitely we're gonna go around and have some good food. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Han. It was awesome. Yeah, I really I'm just you know that there's one person that's super grateful to you for the rest of my life and my entire family.
Thank you.
Just
Well, I'm grateful for you too. You know, like you did an amazing job with my first office, and then a lot of compliments when I opened the practice, you know.
That's awesome.
You know, you don't know how many people visited my office to just copy what we did.
Really? That's incredible.
That's so okay.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Han.
It's
great
a pleasure.
to chat with you.
All right. Take care. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.